Hey everyone, welcome back to the Tales of Recovery. Today I have a special, amazing guest, my friend
What's up?
Golden. What's up, Golden? Golden
Yeah.
Drake is back, and we're just gonna do
Yeah.
like a friend catch up, talk about these stages in life that so many of us are wondering about, that we're getting light about, and that we're just kind of pressing through in a new, and not in a new, but in ancestral wisdom. But it's kind of like a rebellious act, and we're going to talk about um, empty nest and identities and just what it is to be a woman
Yeah, an aging
today,
woman.
an aging woman. Yeah. An aging woman with the privilege
Yeah.
of being an aging woman.
Thank
So
you so
welcome, Golden.
much. I
Welcome
love
back.
being here with you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's so fun. And so it was literally, we were talking and Jillian was here.
Yeah.
She's like, wait, you guys got to record it. I don't know, where should we start? Should we start with like menopause, perimenopause,
Yeah.
that whole
Let's get into, well,
that
yeah,
whole
let's start
fun
with
stuff?
menopause. So, we were just talking about how do we define menopause? What does that actually mean? So, maybe we could start with defining that for the women we're circling
Okay.
with.
Yeah. Yeah. I honestly, I mean, I don't really know. I just what I didn't like. I never really had hot
Oh.
flashes or I just stopped bleeding. And I just assumed, since I was in hot yoga every day, that I was just leaving the flashes there, you know. and so I stopped bleeding, and then like they just got more separate, like 3 months, and then like 6 months, and then I went like
Wow.
a whole year. So I just thought, well, I guess, but I was always, mm, I guess, really grounded and taking really good care of myself, and in a place that I think back then was pretty much where I wanted to be. So I didn't really notice it. However, I'll tell you what happened. My
Yeah.
mom was sick. That's when my mom was sick. And after she died, maybe like, so I had stopped bleeding way
Okay.
before she died,
Oh, okay.
maybe like a year and a half. And then she died. And then about almost a year later, we had this women's retreat in Puerto Monterrey, like by Puerto Vallarta. There was like
Okay.
36 women there. And it was full moon, and we had ceremony after ceremony, and it was just dancing, and it was crazy, amazing. And then I came back, and I bled
No
again.
way.
After being with so many women, and after almost 2 years.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
wild.
That's wild. And I was like, well, it was like 30 something women. We were out under the moon in the middle of it's like this beach where there's nothing but you
Uh-huh.
and the ocean, going in naked into the ocean, just dancing. And it was like a profound, very spiritual experience for me, like
Mm-hmm.
embodied spiritual, just I was
Yeah.
going through it. And so when I came back, I was like, wow, so this like, menopause thing or not, it's like I'm bleeding again. And I've heard of other women that the same thing has happened to them. But anyway, I was having a little bit of a hard time
Mm-hmm.
sleeping. Um, I think maybe after that, and but that would have been the only thing that I figured, like, why can't I go to
Yeah.
sleep when I've always been an
Yes.
amazing sleeper? You know, are you still
No, I'm
bleeding, or
not at
you're
all. But I wanted to
no,
ask, did you start bleeding again consecutively? It was just a
no?
one-time
It was just a one-time
false
thing. Like,
spring.
okay, you got together with these women.
Yeah, that totally
Uh
makes
huh.
sense. That's pretty amazing. Your body's like, I
Mhm. Yeah.
remember. And it's like, good night.
I remember this. Yeah. I'm like, no, please not again. No, I
I
don't miss it at
do.
all. I
Oh, yeah.
actually, you
I
do?
do. I have a lot of
Really?
grief around it. But I think because mine didn't happen naturally. So I think that's
Mm-hmm.
why I would say mine happened unnaturally, artificially. It happened my first round of chemo when I was 42. I went from being
Oh.
a perimenopausal or premenopausal woman to within one round of chemo, my menstrual cycle just halted. And so I was going through menopause
Wow.
while I was going through chemo. And it was just like a torrent of experiences within my body. Like I had no idea how to differentiate what was the chemo, what was menopause, and the grief and the PTSD, or just the trauma.
All of it, yeah.
And then my cycle just never came back. It came back for like a tinge a few months after I completed chemo, and I thought, "Oh, I think I'm going to get it back." And then it just never reappeared. So,
How long were you in chemo for?
it was 6 rounds that took around like 5ish months or so.
Okay.
So, so it is said that when a woman goes through 13 months of
Months.
consecutive pause of bleeding, that she is officially completing her menopausal year and she would be considered postmenopause. So I guess I have been postmenopausal since 43. And so, not that I wanted to conceive or anything like that at that time, but I just felt like it was taken away in a way I wasn't prepared for. I didn't realize
Right.
that was going to be one of
Yeah.
the outcomes. And
Mm-hmm.
I have a lot of grief around like what chemo did to my body, including that. Um,
Did they give you like the
they wanted
tamoxifen and
to,
all
but
that
I
shit
told them
afterwards?
no. And actually, my body told them
No.
no. My
Good.
body, I
Good.
was telling my doctor I was really, I was opposed to all of those kind of treatments, the allopathics. Not all
Treatments.
of them, but the radiation and the chemo I was really reticent to do. And he had, once we made it through that initial kind of year of treatment, he had said, I want you to do the 10 years of the tamoxifen. And I said, yeah.
10 years?
And I said, I don't want to do that. But also, we both agreed that my body wouldn't be able to withstand any more chemo because of so much,
Okay.
all the detrimental effects that had incurred, that I was really kind of
Right.
fighting for my well-being. It really took me down.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I mean,
it
that's
is.
young, 43, to have breast
So
cancer.
yeah, I feel like I'm moving around in like
Yeah.
100-year-old body in a lot of ways. And it feels young to feel that way. So I just
How
turned
old are you now?
50 in February.
50. Right. Yeah. Happy birthday.
Thanks.
Yeah, 50 is like
Oh
this
my
new.
gosh.
I was reading about how the brain, though, when you turn 50, um, I have to find that article. I should have looked it up for this podcast, but it actually turns like into a more open, spacious, creative. It's actually a really amazing thing to
Mm.
be 50. I think it was a neuroscientist guy who was talking about how, before it was like,
You're
oh, by the
over the
time you're
hill,
50,
yeah.
you're over the hill, but it's actually, you're barely, especially now that
Yeah.
we're living a lot longer. And when you're 50, there's different things, but he said the most important was that the brain is now open to do like dynamic, fun,
That's
outdoor
totally what I'm doing.
movements. Yeah, you
That's
see?
wild.
And then that's what's going to keep us strong, healthy bones,
Yeah.
healthy body, mental health, well-being,
Huh.
but I mean, yeah, even just talking about it now, I'm like, yeah, I didn't have hot flashes, but I did kind of go through it like big time after my mom
Mm.
died. And I didn't really know 1 year after, a little bit before this retreat, where I was like just super
Uh,
depressed. I was like, you know what? If
you're
I die
good,
right now,
yeah.
like I'm good. And I remember calling my sister, like, yeah, fuck this shit.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, 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 no. You need to go see
I'm
somebody.
glad you said that, and I'm glad that we're speaking about it with this. I imagine we're sitting in a circle of women.
Yeah.
That when I've done my research into menopause and in my own experience, that's a really common part of menopause that women go through, but it's such a taboo topic that so many women
Yeah.
don't. They just keep it to themselves. So,
Right. Or push through and keep
yeah,
on going.
but it's real.
Yeah. No, it's real. It's real. And yeah, I was so depressed. And then also, I don't know if like I'm in another space right now, but thinking back when I was like, so that was like
Okay.
51, 50, because my mom died five
Wow.
years ago. And then I thought, well, I guess it's just time for me to
Yeah.
slow down. Like, I guess now I'm just going to, not have to be doing
Okay.
CrossFit or getting
Yeah.
crazy and doing all that. I'm just going to slow down, but I can't slow down, but I need to slow down, but I
Right.
can't slow down. It's like this
Mhm.
whole um, demands until, and that book that you gave me was so helpful.
It's
What was it called again?
it's Susan Weed's.
Susan.
It's an herbal for the menopausal woman ages 30 to 60. Get that book. Oh, 30.
30
Yeah,
to
duh.
80, I thought.
30, maybe 90.
Or
Sorry, that was
90 or
a
something.
I said that wrong.
Everyone get that book. I've been reading that
You
book here on the
have?
podcast. I don't know.
Yay.
Yes, it was so good because, I mean, I'm open to all of it. I mean, honestly, yeah, maybe like 3 years ago when I wasn't sleeping, I went to the naturopath and she did like a whole hormonal test and she's like, well, you could use some progesterone. I'm like, well, I'm supposed to go on hormones because my
Yeah.
mom had
Yeah.
breast cancer and that. She's like, no, there's a lot of studies. It's not going to
Hmm.
happen. It's very different. And so I
Oh,
just said,
okay.
fuck it, give me the thing. And girl, sleep
Yeah, I
like a
have
babe.
another friend. So do you do like the natural hormones? Yeah,
It's
okay.
natural. It's a compound pharmacy, natural hormones. And, but I'm like, is it
Yeah,
the right thing?
right.
Should I not be doing it? I have other doctor friends that, my friend was like, how do you think other women did it back in the day? You don't need to
Yeah.
do that, blah, blah, blah. But I like Susan's book because she doesn't say, oh, you shouldn't do this or you should do this. She's just like, these are herbs and plants and supplements and foods that can support you.
Yeah.
And also, if you're doing the hormones, whatever, you can, these are other ways like you can also be supported or you can not take them later
Yeah.
on or whatever. But so I did ask my doctor, I'm like, maybe I shouldn't be taking them because, um, and I think I was just in such a funk when she mentioned that to me. I didn't even think, okay, well, let me go do some research and I'll get back to you. I was just like, yeah, whatever.
Help me.
I'll do
Yeah.
whatever. Help me, And I was also having a lot of issues with the implants
Oh,
that I
yeah.
took out. I hadn't taken them out yet, so I was
Oh,
just like, I'll
yeah.
do whatever. And once
Oh
I took
my
them out,
gosh, I
everything
bet.
got better, of course. But what was I saying?
The hormones
Oh,
asleep.
oh yeah. I went back and told her, listen, this doctor was telling me that I probably shouldn't be taking them. That women for hundreds of years,
Yeah.
thousands of years, never took them. Why do we take them? And she's like, because before women hit menopause and die, we didn't have these long
Yeah.
we're living to 100
Yeah.
years now, and the bones
Mhm.
and this and that. So anyway, I don't know. I'm
Okay,
just
so
sort
you're
of like
taking
winging it,
progesterone?
to be
Okay.
honest. Yeah. hmm I am.
And you're
I
happy
am,
about it?
and I am. Yeah. I mean, I thought about quitting and doing all natural, but I'm also at a point in my life where I'm like who's keeping track whether I'm going to be all natural or not? I
Yeah,
just want to
it's up
feel
to
good and
you.
be strong,
Yeah.
Exactly. But I'm very hard on myself. Like,
Uh-huh.
wait, no, we should be
I
natural. We
know.
should not be doing anything out from outside and the
Yep.
meals and the tinctures and the teas. And also, I'm like, oh God, it's just all a little too
Yeah.
much. And
Well, the world's not set up for
so,
that. It's not really the world we live in. And so it's tricky. We all have to make our decisions, to the best of our ability based on what we know and what our needs are.
right. Yeah. And who knows? I mean, maybe
Yeah.
I'll stop.
Who
Maybe I
knows?
won't. I don't know.
How do you notice it helps
But
you?
um, I mean, I sleep really well. I feel good. I have energy. I mean, I go through it here and there, but I think that's mostly belief
Yeah.
systems and trauma and emotions
Yeah.
that I get in and out of. I'm a big
Yeah.
feeler, so I'm like, oh, and then, but in general, if I get out of the anxiety and this and that, I'm like, okay, all my blood work is fine. I can lift weights and I feel strong. I move around and I have energy for creative
Yeah.
projects like this, and I also work and I'm in the garden. So I don't. There's
That's
nothing
great.
wrong. So I don't know if it's like, um, it's not like I take it and I'm like, oh, I feel like Wonder Woman. No, I just in
Yeah.
general I feel good. So
Yeah.
why rock the boat?
Mm-hmm.
You know. Um, but I mean, I know that it's a little it's
Yeah. It
controversial.
is.
You know. Um, but also there's a lot of studies that are just also showing that they, for example, my mom got breast cancer when she was
Oh, okay.
53, 52, and she had just started on hormone
Oh.
replacement. However, when she did this, they just gave her all their hormones, which is what they do a lot to a lot of the women I work with or friends that I know. So, okay, here you go. Progesterone, estradiol, just all of them together. My doctor did this test, which was like a 24-hour testing, um, and they see which one
Oh.
you're low on because
Oh,
you
okay.
might not need all of them, and so it's a little bit more
Mm.
picky. But anyway, she stopped taking them when she found a little
Mm.
lump on her breast, and this was in 1998,
Okay.
maybe, or something like that. And so now there's all these studies that women are. What they were saying is, oh, it's because of the hormones that women are
Oh,
getting breast
wow.
cancer. However, breast cancer hasn't
Wow.
slowed down, and women stop taking hormones, and now everyone's depressed. And I think it helps me with the
Wow.
depression. I
That
do.
makes sense.
Now that you mention it,
Yeah. Totally makes sense.
I don't know. What do you think about
I
that? Because
don't.
you
I
don't think
mean,
any of that,
I
right?
don't because of just my own thoughts and beliefs, but for myself, and I don't judge other women who do. I have other friends that do, and they swear by it. They're stoked on it. But also, I don't take hormones because of the kind of cancer that I had. I'm just not supposed to take hormones. So
Right.
that works out fine for me. And so, yeah, so I'm just kind of living in this body that has the estrogen and progesterone levels that have diminished, really lowered. So it's a different experience. And I've had, like so many of the experiences I have in my body, I can't parse apart if this is, I'm sure it's like chemo and radiation fallout and PTSD, but it's also postmenopausal woman, and so many of those overlap,
Right.
like brain fog, memory loss, chronic fatigue, the fibromyalgia. I have a laundry list of stuff, but
And you feel all that
constantly,
all day, all the time,
constantly.
or on and off,
And I've
constantly?
lived like that since going through my treatments. So going
Wow.
into that, at 42, I would say I feel, a lot of times I'd say I feel dead because I felt dead. I felt not alive. Or I'd say
No
I just feel like
energy.
I'm 100 years old. And I was so used to being an able bodied woman, dancer. That
Right.
was my whole life, my whole identity. And to go from being able bodied to not is wild. Especially when, when you're in your 40s, you're still so
Yeah.
functional. And so it's been a learning curve and learning how to adapt and work with my body's abilities.
How do you like? How have you been working through that, or like, how do you
Very
support
carefully.
yourself? Or
I mean, there's so many things I could say. I have chosen a life of sobriety, so I choose to raw dog it, so to speak, and show up
yeah.
and experience it. When I was working with a rheumatologist, he was saying basically therapy and painkillers were like what I could do to cope, and I was like, I'm not gonna do painkillers.
Whoa.
I'm not.
That's just gonna
Yeah,
make
and
shit
like
worse.
antidepressants and all that, I'm just like, no, I'm good. And that's just again my own personal choice. But
Right.
I I choose to be present to what is in my body, no matter what it is. Sometimes that's really freaking hard. Um, I really rely on the sun. I rely on the greenery. I rely on immersing myself in nature, moving my body in nature every day, breathing fresh air. Like basically I dose on nature pretty much every day of my life.
Every day.
It's so good for my mental health, physiological health, all of my health. And then just really like leaning on God and trusting that what is by divine design, or that it will be worked for divine design. And leaning on like mentors and sisters, you know, being in community where we are in this life process together. We're choosing to show up to it in a real way. And kitty.
Oh no.
And just I'm really interested also in looking online and finding women who are embracing aging and seeing what those women are doing as
Yeah.
well. So I feel like conversations like these
Yeah.
are so important because I don't find a lot of women who are just like bold and candid crones talking about crone season, like being in the midst of it
Yeah.
and talking about
Yeah.
like the highs and lows of
Embracing
it.
it. Yeah. There's for sure.
Everyone's trying to be like Forever 21. And I get that. Like I get the power of youth and having vivaciousness within, and I also know I am in the fall season of my life. I'm not in the spring season of my
Right.
life. She lives in there somewhere, but I
Yeah.
am in the crone season, and so I don't see a lot of, it's sad to say, I see less and less women, you know, online or in the world who are embracing the crone. And so I really try to seek that out.
Yeah. Which is why I'm really glad you're here, because I'm trying to seek that out, and I also realize how hard it is, depending on how programmed you are, your belief systems, the whole way, you know, and the culture and whatever. At this point, I'm like, it's taken me some years, but I've realized like I don't even want to be looking like 21 anymore. You know, I just want to be strong, feel strong, and have enough energy to have fun. And you know, it comes and goes. It comes and goes. I think maybe a year ago, I was like, okay, I'm gonna grow out my
I
gray
love
hair,
that.
and I'm not gonna. And I got to 2 inches, and I was like,
Really?
oh no.
Yeah.
I had a bad day one day, and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna put the
Yeah,
hem in
and
or the
that's
collar
so
or whatever.
real.
And that's fine. You know, I'm not like, I don't think embracing aging means you have to have gray hair.
Right.
If that's your thing, that's your thing. For me, it's more, which is why I love having your friendship and having you here, and that you shared that book, because it's more of like leaning more into the wisdom of what walking into cronehood
Yeah.
means,
Yes.
being present to the reality that we are
Yeah.
in the fall season. And so why are you going to be all depressed and bitching and moaning, instead of like transforming that into maybe, being with
Yeah.
it? Like you said, I'm in my body when it's hard, but also, well, it is what it is. Like Queen Grease used to say.
Totally.
Right?
Queen Crone Grease.
Queen Crown Grease. Golden and my mom were
Yeah.
besties,
She's so rad.
right? Yeah, and she had to get into the crow season and like fast mode, accelerate.
And she did a great job with it.
Um, yeah, yeah. You
She
helped
helped
her
me
a
a
lot.
lot too.
Yeah,
No, I mean, super
yeah,
inspiring. I love, on that note, I love hanging out with elders. I love hanging out with people who are in their 70s, 80s. It's interesting. Maybe it's just the season of life we're in, but I'm around them a lot more. I work with them and whatnot. But I'm fascinated by our elders and their experience, and there's just so much to learn. There's so much wisdom, and I find so often that the women elder crones that I know are very understated in their power.
What do you mean by understated? Like they don't step into
No,
their
not
power, or
that.
they're
They're in their power, but it's quiet. It's quieter. You know, like
oh,
if you think
okay.
of like literally the Forever 21 archetype of like, I'm so beautiful and look at me and like, yeah, I'm on
I'm
fire.
look like the
And that's
Kardashians,
like
like everybody
so
else.
part of the spring, the maiden, like, yeah. I'm juicy. Like
Right.
it's happening. Like look at over me
Yeah.
over here. Also, I think the world doesn't we don't uphold our elders, our crones. So I think probably a lot of women are going through their own deep process around aging and facing death, their partners dying, wrapping up a life. And so there's a lot more seriousness to that. And I think, yeah, we don't pedestalize the elder or the crone. There's not a whole big spotlight. There's not a look at me of
Mm.
here's a woman in her crown, in her crone
Yeah.
crowned season. She is esteemed. She has lived her life. We honor, we see, we respect you. We uphold you. We listen to you. We embrace you. We want to know more. We don't live in a society like that. So I think maybe the understatedness is just coping in today's society where we don't look to and revere the elders as I think they have earned and deserve. We're so hyper fixated on youth. But I think that there is an understated beauty in I have lived, not I'm not saying me, but an elder, a crone who's like, I have lived in this body for 7 decades or whatever. So I'm just living it. And you can see it
Mm-hmm.
or not.
Right.
And I think it's tricky
Yeah.
because our society has taught us to really turn away and not look and like acknowledge the wrinkles, the grays, the way the body changes and sags. We say, oh, it's ugly. I can't even look at it. And it reminds me like death is coming.
And you know what? Low key, all of that you're saying, like all of this, which is programming, right? That they've told us that, oh, that's bad, and you're gonna
Oh,
have
yeah.
wrinkles and death is coming, has a lot of. It's like the subconsciously probably affecting a lot of
Oh,
this depression
yeah.
and freaking out in the perimenopause,
Oh, yeah.
menopause, because you're like, it's not that you're thinking, oh, I'm gonna be old and have wrinkles, but your body starts to have these different sensations,
Totally.
emotions, depression, anxiety. You
You
think you're
do.
going crazy. No, you're not
You
going
might be.
crazy. The brain is literally, I mean, you might be, but the brain actually goes through a process during menopause where the brain gets more malleable. So there is a space where, oh, this is kind of really weird that it's
Yeah.
happening, but I think there's a lot of fear involved in like, oh no, no, I'm not gonna be
Yeah.
21, or a lot of it too, like all the
Yes.
dreams they had told me, and now, well, I did all they said that I should do, and I'm not really like that satisfied with my partner, with my
Yeah.
the kids are
Yeah.
leaving, this careers that I
Totally.
chose, and
That's the thing. I have very much been in that space of it's all kind of synced up in my life of turning 50. I'm postmenopausal and in an empty nest season. So I've been doing a deep retrospective of my life, a deep, oh, and being, the cancer diagnosis. It kicked off there for me of like this deep life inventory and assessing my life, assessing my past. And there's something about 50 where it was like, in the empty nest, just all the factors where it's like, oh my gosh, like I'm 50. And so I'm closer to death than birth. And I only have so much time left. And what am I going to do with this precious gift? And just like thinking about all the choices and all the ripple ramifications of choices made in the past. And like, I could have done this, 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 and this so much differently. And I'd been in such a different place. And yet it's like, here I am. And now what am I going to do with the rest of my life? And that the retrospective brings so much grief. And I think the looking into the future of aging and then dying brings anxiety for a lot of us.
yeah, it's deep.
So it's like, it gets really
It
real
is.
when you are in your 50s. Like, okay, the 40s were real. The 50s are real. And I'm just like barely putting my toe into the 50s. So you have more to speak on
Yeah.
of that.
Well, I mean, what about the empty
Yeah.
nest thing? I mean, that's
Yes.
both of your kids moved out this
Well,
year,
my son
right?
moved out
Or
a few
last
years
year?
back. So I had time to adapt, and that was a hard one for me. I was going through cancer when that happened. He did come back for a bit and then he flew the nest again. But my daughter and I just went our own ways just a few months ago. And that's been really challenging and for me. And when I think about what it is, it's like being on my own and where I'm at right now in this moment, I'm like, wow. When I brought these babies into the world, I was in a lifetime commitment with their father. You know, I planned,
Right.
I was like, we're going to be together forever. We're going to have the family
Forever.
home. This is the spot. This is the hub. And then it just didn't go that way. And so I think traditionally speaking, in the empty nest, scenario in our society, it's a man and a wife. They have their home. They have their kids. The kids fly. The home is still there. The mate is still there. And then it's like, babe, now it's all about us. What are we going to do now?
But it's still a
It is still
process,
a
though.
process.
It's still like, wait a minute. Especially if you're making it all about the kids, or if you depend emotionally on the kids,
Yeah,
which all of us do.
totally.
I don't care how much therapy you do, and I know that
No,
that's not what they're here for,
it's
but it's
our whole
still like,
identity as
my
much.
babies.
They were one in our
My babies.
body. They came out of us. They were
Yeah.
completely dependent upon us. We stewarded their
Yeah.
lives for beyond 18 years, right? And then
Yeah.
I don't believe that once they move out of the house, then it's like next. It's
It's horrible.
massive. It's
It's a process,
massive.
yeah.
It's grief.
It's grief.
And it's like, it's bittersweet. It's joy. It's grief. It's such a huge,
Because you want them to fly the coop
yeah.
and do their life and have fun, but also like, oh wow, that's
Yes.
over
And it's like, it was gone in a flash and it's never
in a
coming back.
flash.
And the whole nature of the relationship changes. So for me, finding myself in empty nest, I think it's been such a reality check because it's like, I don't have that mate. I don't have the family home. And in a lot of ways, like by society's metrics, I wouldn't consider myself a success by the rubric of society's standards for judging success. And
Right.
so it's like this massive self-reflective experience where I'm like, oh my gosh, who am I? What am I? What am I doing? Where am I? I'm asking the who, what, where, when, why, and how about myself. And it feels like I'm starting again.
No place to
Yeah,
go but in.
totally.
Yeah. Luna. Oh yeah. There's a visitor.
This is
It's
Lunita.
Lunita.
Hi, Lunita.
Uh-huh.
Hi, babe.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So no distractions. There's no
right.
distractions for you. You had to
Yeah.
learn. Which might be
It's
yeah,
gnarly.
it might be
It's gnarly.
it's gnarly, but also like you're in it instead of having all these distractions and not getting in there until you're ready to kick the bucket.
Totally. I'd rather do it now than on my deathbed.
Right? Yeah. And move from it, move with it. So what are you doing um to navigate this besides, what you said about being in
Yeah.
nature, being in your body,
Ugh.
going
Yeah.
inwards.
Yeah.
You're
Well,
like, "Oh."
I have a sponsor in my life. She's my mentor. So I do daily check-ins with her and I do a lot of deep contemplation with God and with, in myself and a lot of asking.
Yeah.
Like you were saying before, like I have a deep need to rest and I have a deep need to figure things out and go. So I'm trying to figure out how to manage that. And like, for example, Susan Weed in that menopause book talks about the crone's year away. And I
Yeah.
so deeply desire the crone's year away, and yet I need to work and yeah.
Pay the
so
bills.
um
Shit.
so I try to think like how could I make my own version of that, and really it's just the inner inquiry, and I'm really asking to be led and guided around, like,
Yeah.
you know, help me. Like, I really ask my creator, help me to really know myself and to know you, and to really cultivate from my whole life leading up to this moment all the goodness, all the lessons, all the blessings, and then help me to compost all that needs to hit the compost pile, and like really make me fresh soil so that these seeds for this season of crone can be sown here, and that I could be a good steward of my crone season and the rest of this gift of life that I have. I want to make the most of it. So daily I'm
Yeah.
seeking, how can I best serve you today? And like, what is my highest destiny? And attempting to listen for that without the personal will of like, I've got to figure it all out, like right now because the clock is ticking, because that's very much alive in me as
Right.
well. So it's like an inner battle in my
Yeah.
mind.
That's the rebellion, right? That's the rebellious act. Like, I'm not going to listen to this inner battle. At least that's what I do. I try to be present. I come in here and in my little studio with Kuan Yin and the same. I'm just like, okay, a life of service, a life of
Yeah.
service, a life of service. Calm the fuck down, like. And it takes me quite some time to finally settle in and just be like, hey, I'm not gonna be rushing. I'm not gonna be in this hustle, and I don't want to live that, be in
Yeah.
that mindset of you have to do more, you have to do more, you have to do more.
Yeah.
Because I don't even think it's an age thing. That's like a trauma imprint of childhood of
For
having to
sure.
prove and having to be and having to. I find myself at night sometimes. I wake up in the middle of the night and I'm like, oh my god,
Same.
oh this,
Same.
and I'm like, okay, wait a minute, soften the shoulders, kitty, like soften the
Yeah.
jaw, and I have to be like, it's all right, like it's, you don't have to be worried about
I
anything right now.
know.
You don't have to. It doesn't help anything. Oh, but it's almost like it's like the nervous system does this. So yeah, that's for me. That has been like the act of really the work of tending to that nervous system that wants to get going. And I'm like, but
Yeah.
I'm tired. I don't want to go going so
Yeah.
fast. I just
Right.
want to chill. Right? I'm not doing Ashtanga
Right.
anymore. I'm done
Yes.
with that shit. I mean, I'm just
Yes.
like, no. Um, I'll do other things, of course, in my breathwork and yoga. I still want to move.
Right.
I want to be strong, but I don't need to
Totally.
overdo it. That's one of the things that have come
I
into my
love that.
wisdom of
Okay.
being 55 years old. Why am I trying to overdo it? Like, for what? To prove what? That I want to be
Yeah.
21 again? Like, no. What is enough? And then, I can let myself rest. And I know there's mortgages to pay and rents to pay and this and that and the other, but even in that, there can be a
Mm.
slowness. Instead of like this deep anxiety, like, oh my God, is it gonna be enough? It's always
Oh
been enough.
yeah. Yeah.
You know, especially if like you trust. I mean, I'm walking around trusting this past 2-3 years. Like, I'm trusting. I mean, I should probably get a tattoo and
I
like trust the
know.
process
Same.
because
That's my inner mantra is I trust myself, I trust God, because I've so struggled with both
yeah,
that I'm really trying
yeah,
to like bring myself into the space of trusting those bigger parts of me.
yeah. And so, what about like, yeah, like physically, or because I know you probably have a lot of, yeah, like tinctures that you take or teas or whatever, like to stay strong instead of the progesterone
Yeah.
that I cheat with.
Well, I mean, prior to going into my cancer diagnosis, I was a vegan. And I think that that was good for like a season of my life. And I went into that to try to actually heal. I had some serious health issues going on many years prior to cancer that I was trying to heal dietary and go into anti inflammatory. But
Okay.
once I went into cancer treatments and menopause, my body was like, I need animal fats,
Fats. And,
proteins.
yeah.
I must. And I think that's just part for me of this crone journey is really like listening to my body and responding and discerning like what are the true needs and what would be most appropriate. So I do a lot of just relying on animals and plants for my nutrition. I do nourishing herbal infusions like you can find in that Susan Weed book. Yeah,
You do
oat
nettles.
straw, nettles,
Nettle.
like basics, you know?
Yeah.
And I try to keep it simple. And also, like, I understand that I'm a human and I'm not going to be doing things perfectly. So I try to give myself grace
Right.
as well. Yeah.
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 That's good. Yeah, I've decided that I can eat whatever I want now, and I don't give a
Yeah.
shit anymore. Like, of course,
Right.
not like go to
Yeah. Yeah.
McDonald's or anything stupid like that, you know. But I did notice, and that's one of the things that so Suzanne read. We'll talk about weight and
Mm.
body image, right? In that book, she said that it's totally normal because she's a doctor and a naturopath and a herbalist, right?
Okay.
This Suzanne chick, for women to gain
Oh,
up
yeah.
to 10
The
pounds in
body wants
menopause.
to hang on in the crone season.
Yeah, yeah. And of course, we're like, what? I mean, me, 10
Yeah.
pounds? No, no, no. I
Yeah.
remember like doing this diet and wanting to lose the 10 pounds and
Yep.
being so hard on myself. And that was when I was 49, 50. And then because I'm like, I have to always have my weight from when I was
Totally.
25, you know? And then after I read her, it was like such a relief. I think I almost cried. I was like, I've been such a
Yeah.
bitch to my poor little body. And you're just demanding it that it be a certain way. And I'm like, I'm sorry. The
Yeah.
belly wants to come. I don't give it, it's like I welcome it. I'm still going to be strong, but I think it's important that we mention this for whoever is listening. You may or may not struggle with this, but I think
Yes.
most of us
I
do.
totally do.
Like this, until I get to this point, I'll be okay. And if I don't get to this point, I'm going to beat up my
Yeah.
body and beat myself up and restrict the food or
Totally.
restrict this or restrict that. And it's like, no, I mean protein, animal fats, complex carbs, lots of vegetables, whatever. Once in a while, I'll have a little mini Cadbury
Yeah.
egg because those are
Hello.
my favorite,
Chocolate
and I know it's not good
milkshakes.
for you, but
Come
dude,
on.
yeah,
You better believe it.
yeah, yeah, and of course, in a wise way,
Balance.
balanced, but yeah, like these, I just, and then I realized, yeah, I'm exactly 10
Oh,
pounds more
wow.
than my weight when I
Yeah.
was, whatever,
Yeah.
25, 35, 45. Um,
Yeah.
and I'm good. Like but it's a
It's a
process.
process.
Like for me, it's
It's a
been
mental process.
mental. It's a mental process, and it's an act of
In what
rebellion
way is it an act of rebellion?
because I have to rebel against all that my mom and my grandmother and great grandmother and all the Mexican women and all the fucking magazines tell you that you have to look a certain way or else you're not worthy. Or else you're just like not good enough. Or else, you need a facelift, you need a Botox, I rebel, and I'm like, I look in the mirror and I'm like, damn straight, 55. Get it, girl. You're strong. You're doing your thing. I'm vibrant. I feel good. But I'm not going to operate
Yeah.
my eyes or pull the skin or do
Yeah.
like. So to me, the act of rebellion is more of like um, really going into the self love, really going into like more than anything, because what I realized what I did 5 years ago when I read that book by Suzanne, when I had those 10 extra pounds, and I was like, me, Gris, the athlete, never.
Yeah.
I'll never have a belly. I'll never be, because no. And I was
Yeah.
exhausted. Adrenal
Yeah.
fatigue, the thyroid, I'm like, no, fuck this shit. So the rebellion is really to just notice it and give myself what I need. And yeah, it's like I could have died when I was 20, but here I am on this
Yeah.
road. and I want to be a wise elder. I want to be a
Yeah.
crone that has like that's funny and that's cool information for younger women and that will help them out and look out for them and be like, no, honey, you don't need to do that. Tell that
Yeah.
motherfucker, no,
Yep.
no, no,
Yep.
you know,
Yep.
you know. And so, and to stand in that with whatever I need, that's my rebellion. Whatever I need from me, not what you might think or I might think that is
Mm.
good because then you'll invite me or I'll look good or I won't be. I mean, and it's hard.
It's really
It's
hard.
hard. Like, you know, like,
Yeah.
oh, this little
And
neck
that's
thing is coming
totally, this is
down and
totally
the
a
little mirror.
menopause effect. All the things I'm like, wow, it's really interesting. It's all
It's so
happening.
interesting. Yeah. And
It's
it's
going to
going to keep
keep
happening.
happening. Yeah.
So, what are we going to do? Party?
Yeah. I
Light a
want to see
fire?
the day. I would love in our lifetime for elders to be honored and the aging process to be
Yeah.
honored and that we women would embrace. And that doesn't mean like throw in the towel and like just whatever happens happens. Like no, we take care of ourselves. We honor and
Right.
nourish and steward this body well, and we acknowledge that aging is a process and a
And a
privilege,
privilege.
and eventually we will surrender this body back to earth. And are we going to be good stewards of these bodies? And aging is part of the process. If we look
Yeah.
into nature, the way I correlate the seasons of a woman's life are spring, maiden; summer, mother; fall, crone; winter, ancestor. And we have rites of passage that are designed right into our female bodies.
Which is
It's the
menopause.
rite of
It's a
passage
rite of
into
passage.
crondom. And, you know, if you look into nature and you see in the fall and into the winter, you're not seeing all the tight little rosebuds on the plant, you know? Like you're seeing a
Yeah.
plant wither, die, go fallow, you know, in a lot of places on earth. And
Yeah.
we don't turn our I mean, I guess we do. We turn our eye on that even in nature. We're entrained to go, "Ooh, that's ugly." But Mother Nature's like, this is all happening here in my body. Like this is part of it. She's teaching us.
Yeah.
And are we going to embrace it or
Yeah.
not?
You know, I think I embrace it sometimes.
Same.
Sometimes I'm like,
We're
I
programmed.
was at a I was at a garden today and it's scary. It's scary
It
to think
is.
about dying.
It's
I think
intense.
I was thinking, I wonder if when I'm dying I can literally be like, because I'm always
Me
thinking
too.
about when I'm going to die. I'm like, I wonder if I could literally be on my deathbed, like, or maybe just sitting in the garden. Maybe I don't have to be on a
Ooh.
deathbed. Maybe we can
Ooh.
just die in the garden, you
I
know?
like it.
But I was just thinking, like, what if I'm just like, well, I guess we're going to the next adventure. Let's see. Like, what if, you just kind of jumped into it like that? Of course, that was just a thought that I had. I don't know if that's going to be the reality because I do think the bodies have a different, the bodies want to stay alive regardless. You really, really have to train it. You really, really have to. I'm also reading the
Oh.
Tibetan Book of the Dead again. Um, so I'm really like into. I mean, my dad just died. I
Yeah.
think about him all the time and where he's at, and I think I
Mm.
hear him, and I think he's inside of me, and then I'm like, what? So I'm constantly just. Um, it's been like a trippy time of me seeing like I don't really think it's like you go away, you just turn into
Yeah.
something else. Um, and so yeah, that's I don't even know how that
Cause
came up, but
we're,
that's just one
cause
of the things I was thinking
we,
about.
we're,
Because we're
we're
almost about to
gonna
die.
die.
'Cause we're 55.
Because it's
And
getting really real, and you know you're in the fall. You know what season's next. You don't skip
Yeah,
winter.
exactly.
Winter is
Oh,
next. So you know it's like
yeah,
we have this precious amount of however much life left. We don't know, and we want to make the most of it. You know, and
yeah,
yeah, death is closer than our birth.
yeah. I mean, unless we go to
Yeah.
120, but who knows, man? I mean, unless
I'm
I'm
not.
feeling really good, I might need more progesterone or some other shit.
Oh my gosh.
No, I mean, I think, okay, I don't feel in my head that I'm
Mm.
55. Like,
Oh,
I
okay.
feel like a teenager, like inside. I'm laughing all the time. I
Yeah.
have plus I have friends that are all
Yeah.
different ages, like 80-year-olds,
Right.
12-year-olds, 50-year-olds. But that might also be something that we can turn towards, like what is your attitude
Yeah.
like? Because I can get really
Same.
serious
I'm way
about it.
too
Like, oh,
serious. It's annoying. I'm like, stop, girl. You are annoying. I am. That's one of my things. I'm like, wait, I'm.
listen, I don't
No,
mean to
we
be
should.
laughing. You're
That's a
just like,
perfect response. I
you're like,
am.
I'm way too
It's
serious.
annoying. I'm way too serious,
Yeah.
and I'm working on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I just feel the gravity of life, and I feel a
Yeah.
lot of, like I said earlier, a lot of grief around decisions I made in the past. And so I'm living
Mm.
in the consequences of certain decisions. And now I'm having to make really big decisions about my future. You know, as a solo woman at 50, I don't have a mate. I don't
Yeah.
have the accoutrements of all the things that would show that I'm a successful person in the world. And, you know, it's a very real reality to say I may age alone. I may age
Right.
towards death alone without a mate, a companion. Part of the problem of my serious that I'm finding is like, how am I going to be providing for myself as an aging woman? So the 50-year-old woman really wants to take care of her future self. And that's really
Right.
heavy on my mind, you know?
Yeah. Community. You have a
Yeah,
good
and I don't
community.
want to be a burden on anybody. That's like the next thought I
Yeah,
have.
but that's some bullshit right there. Okay. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that. What burden would you be?
If someone is, say, hypothetical, I was incapacitated, if my health went south, if I wasn't able to work and provide and like pull my weight in a community, that would be difficult for me. Because I'm interested in mutuality, and we don't necessarily live in a village setting of intergenerational people who are like, oh yeah, we're birthing and dying all right here in the village, and everybody's got an important role, you know? So it's
Right.
like
We have to
we all
create
live in our
that.
separate homes, and everybody's got their thing going on. And so, I mean, I think like, okay, I'm going to age in this body. I don't know how much longer, but like there's going to be a point probably where I can't work anymore, and then what? You know?
Right.
I wouldn't want to put that
Yeah.
on my people.
No, but I mean, I would say, like, if I'm like, Golden, can I come stay with you because I'm all by myself and I can't pull my weight. W- would you be like, no, you're gonna be a
Yeah.
burden, or would you
No, I
take
would
me
take
in?
you. Yeah. No.
I would take you in too. Let's go to
Let's
Julian.
go.
I mean, just to know, like, maybe we're not living in that setting specifically right now, even though there are a lot of
Yeah.
people creating those settings, and it's kind of coming along here and there. Um, but that might also be like a limited mindset. You have kids,
Yeah.
you have friends. I mean, everyone at this house today, Golden's coming over. Oh my
No.
God, Golden's coming up. Like, we love you so much. Just, I think that's important to know that
Thanks.
a lot of people might have your back and you wouldn't even be
Thank you.
considered a burden. And
It makes me
yeah,
think. Oh, go ahead. I don't want to interrupt you. I just
no,
thought
no,
of
no.
like the women we're
Go ahead.
sitting in circle with, and how many other women might be thinking that. And so, these feel like important conversations to have amongst
Yeah,
community, before
yeah.
things would go potentially in another direction. Like, you know, Like we make a plan for our future and talk about
Yeah.
potentialities, you know?
And all living together in like a big place, because I don't want to be in a little old fogey home where,
You don't
yeah,
want to.
no,
Yeah.
I don't want to.
I don't
Those
either.
places are pretty depressing. Yeah. I mean, I'm
Yeah,
sure
I'm
there's some cool
sure.
ones, and if there's no options, there's no options, but there's always options. And all the money you pay there, you can
Yeah.
figure it out to, have a bigger space, and just like we figured out with my
Yeah.
mom. And,
I know you did a good
um,
thing for both of your parents.
oh, girl.
Huge.
I paid
I
some
mean,
karma.
the way that
No,
you
I'm just
saw them off is ideal,
Yeah, it was good for
literally,
them.
for both of them.
Yeah.
I mean, you
Yeah.
really modeled that for your family and
Yeah.
community, your children.
Yeah. It was really good. I know. Con amor lo recibo. I'm actually all
Good.
like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And I was invited to speak at a podcast in Tijuana next Thursday with a friend of mine, Karina, because her dad just died, and she has this guest speaker coming to talk about. I mean, it's a coincidence that she had um, like a
Oh,
death doula or a death person. But she's like, her parents haven't died yet, so can you come also be a part of it? Because it
oh
needs to be
yeah.
somebody whose parents have died. Um, so that'll be interesting. But yeah, it's very like I see how all these other people's loved ones are kind of
Yep.
exiting, and it's important to bring it in and do. I mean, you were such a part of it. You were such
It
a
was
part of
so
it, of being able
serendipitous.
to be like,
We
phew,
didn't. We weren't planning for
yeah,
that part. I came
no,
in a different role, and it just
to teach
yeah,
my mom yoga
meditation. Yeah,
or to
walk with
walk with her
her.
meditation. She's like, I don't want to do yoga. I just want to do shavasana. I'm like, no, Golden, she needs to move. You need to take her and move her. And you'd be like, well, I think maybe she's at a season in her life where it's okay if we just stay in the house and talk. And I was like, the fuck? No, she needs to move. Until finally I
She was
understood,
checking out.
okay, Golden has got some deeper wisdom and my mom's
Yeah.
checking out. And I got to wake up, and this is the season to slow down.
And there was such a wisdom in
Right?
her checking out because she was struggling with dementia. And,
Yeah.
like there was such a wisdom in that. And you let her lead.
Yeah.
You honored that.
Yeah.
Of course, you're going to do everything you can to be like,
Yeah.
Mom, I want you well. I want you thriving. And then it was like the
Right.
writing's on the wall. And you
She needs
pivoted.
to
That was
rest.
beautiful.
Yeah. Well, it was you that helped. And also Dr. Carey was also like,
Yeah.
if she wants
Yeah.
chocolate all day, just give her chocolate all day. When I thought,
She
okay, I guess
She
the no
wanted me
sugar
to
isn't going to heal
smuggle
her.
her
Like,
chocolate. She told me which one at Whole Foods. She sent me on missions.
specifically the salted caramel. That's what she liked. My dad would also sneak it in. I'm like, no, chocolate. Yeah. Then, yeah, and it's a learning process how attached we are. And it's okay. I
Yeah.
think we're supposed to be attached.
Yeah,
We're like
nobody
mammals.
teaches us
It's like,
any of that. I mean, you were figuring it
no.
out and you were doing the due
Yeah.
diligence on your own to figure it out.
Yeah, it was a little bit easier
Right.
with my dad. I mean, not
No.
easier when he died. That was horrible. But easier in like, okay, this is
Exactly.
where we're gonna gather. This is what we're gonna do. Songs all day, fire
You were
outside,
seasoned.
like everyone coming together, and this is what it is. We're all gonna say goodbye, and it sucks. Let's cry. Ooh, that rhymes.
Aw.
It's so
It's
fucking brutal. This life,
brutal.
man.
It is not for
It is.
the weary. Aging
No,
is not for the weary either.
no. My grandfather used to say that. He'd be like, man, getting old sucks. It's not for the wimpy. I'm like, no, we got to go inwards, which I think is really cool that you're like, you say, you're like, I go inwards and I pray and I ask God and lead me and trust, because you're getting a big head start on what most of us need to be doing at least an hour a day, is meditate, go in, connect, pray, just
Yeah,
contact source,
totally.
contact that electromagnetic field that we belong to, because to me, when I do that, then the rest of the day, I can be more noticing
Exactly.
things, more
Yeah.
present, just present.
And source just wants the best for us. And the more we could tune in and be receptive to that
Yeah,
guidance, then
yeah,
we're
yeah.
collaborating. We're working together instead of trying to assert our little personal will and be like, no, it's got to be like this.
Yeah, that doesn't really
It
work.
doesn't. I've
Yeah,
tried it my whole life.
yeah.
It doesn't work.
Trust source
I
and
need to
laugh
do
a
that
lot.
more. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we need to hang out more. Always laughing here. That's one of the things I thought the other day. I'm like, man, my son tells me, "Mom, you're
I
always
love
cracking yourself up." I'm like, I
You
am.
have a great laugh too.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's such
Yeah.
endorphins. It's almost like you're high. I mean, I also get angry.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, but I'm a little bit faster at catching myself. Like, okay,
Yeah,
there's
that's
tension.
good.
What's going on here? Let's go outside and step
That's
on the earth
good.
for a little bit and not take
Yeah.
it out on other people. Um, but yeah, so I think it's cool that we're accompanying each other in this journey, and we'll see. I mean, I'm doing all of it right now, whatever I can to stay strong and to stay present, and the magnesium and the fucking nettle
Yeah.
infusion all
Yeah.
day with oat straw and whatever
Yeah.
vegetables, fruits, and the animal proteins, and trying to
Trying our
sleep.
best to sleep.
Wake up in the morning.
Sleeping,
Oh, hey,
man.
kitty.
I really miss
Sleeping and
sleeping.
waking up and seeing the sunrise.
No.
You don't sleep good? No. Do you take like
I tried
melatonin or
melatonin and it
magnesium or
gave me
whatever?
headaches. So I was like, I don't know if it's the melatonin or if this is like, so I stopped that. But I do want to get more into magnesium. And
Oh,
yeah,
magnesium
I
is the
need it. I
best.
need like baths of magnesium probably.
Yeah. I take a
Okay.
ton of magnesium. I take
You
like
take it before
500
bed?
mgs a day. 4
Okay.
capsules before bed. I take magnesium and I take these capsules that there's a local this kid Santiago's the one that found it. It's called Deep Sleep, and it's L-theanine
Oh.
with valerian and
Oh.
passion flower, and it just
Okay.
soothes the nervous system. And so
Oh.
I take one of those, take the
Love
magnesium,
it.
peace out.
And you
Yeah,
sleep well at night.
yeah. I sleep well. I mean, sometimes there's nights where like I wake up at 3 and I'm like, okay, what the fuck? Where's the
Totally.
moon? What's going on? But for the most part, if I moved the day and I got up early, I like to watch the sunrise.
Hmm.
Um, by 8:39, I'm out.
Really? Okay.
Yeah,
My new strategy,
yeah.
because I was waking up so much in the middle of the night, I try to keep myself up later now because I was falling asleep at like 8 or 9 and then waking up
Okay.
for hours in the middle of the night to the point where I started dancing
Yeah.
in the middle of the night.
Yeah. That's
Because
great.
nothing else worked. But now I'm trying to go to bed later. But I'm going to try the magnesium. I want to.
Yeah, the magnesium is super good. Magnesium glycinate is the
Okay.
one that's supposed to be the good one. Um, yeah, for me, if I don't take it, I don't know if I don't take it if I don't sleep. But I literally, I have felt the difference. I
Wow.
think it's really good. And the L-theanine, I mean, it's so interesting. They would always give us that tea, té de valeriana, té de pasiflorina. In Mexico, when you had like, you couldn't
Oh.
sleep or you had to calm
Oh.
down, that's what they'd give you. So now these kids just put it in a
Okay.
capsule. It's a lot easier. You could also make the tea, you know, but um, but yeah, I guess the L-theanine is also good for the brain and ashwagandha. There's all this stuff. Sometimes I wonder, like, oh shit, should I be
I
buying all
know.
these supplements or can I grow
Right.
them?
Oh,
I'm gonna
good.
plant ashwagandha. I don't know if I can grow magnesium. That
Yeah.
one I just have to buy. But that one I can see the
Magnesium's a
difference.
mineral, isn't it? I think so.
I don't know what
We'll
it
go
is.
like
I think
chip
so.
away at some rock and get it.
Yeah, this is probably is a mineral. But, it's not that expensive, and I think it's worth it. And then our bones, I mean, our muscles need it. It's good for the heart, and it just really relaxes you. So, yeah, that's a good one. And some tea. But then also, as you get older, I can't be
I
drinking tea at night
know.
because
You
then I
gotta
have to wake up
pee.
and go pee at 2 in the morning, and it fucks up my sleep. The other thing too is like I don't even have a fight with sleep anymore. If I'm up at 2, I'm like,
Same.
well,
I
I'm up
mean,
at 2.
I'm working on it,
Bring
but
it.
I'm more surrendered now. I used to get so mad.
Yeah.
I'd be like, I need, hello, I have so much to do tomorrow and I need energy. And I'd just be so mad. But
yeah, I would get tense and the demands.
Yeah.
But then now I'm just like, just breathe
yeah.
or read a book. I try not to pick up the phone because
Oh,
then
yeah.
I'll be up for
Blue light.
forever. But just, I'm like, okay, I guess it's time to meditate.
Totally.
Maybe the Tibetan monks
I mean,
are
and
up right
that's
now,
true,
so I'm gonna
right? It's
meditate.
like 3 or 4 a.m. is the time of
Yeah,
communion.
yeah. I try to say it like that. I'm like, I
Yeah.
guess I'm communing
Yeah.
at 3 in the morning. And luckily, I can sort of make my own schedules. I don't have to be up that early. If I want to sleep in,
That's great.
not always, but I can. But yeah, I mean, it's great, and it's also a big responsibility to have my own
Yeah.
business because if I slack off for a week or two, I'm like, oh shit, I gotta make money. Yeah. But yeah.